Hello, Steve White, Steve White's 89. I've been having a bit of a Fraggle Rock marathon the last couple of days, and that's partly because back in the day I bought season 1 from the US, and then they started releasing the DVDs locally in Australia, but they didn't have any of the special features, and I always wanted the other versions, but it always seemed like a waste of money or just to order them and have two and blah blah blah. But I eventually did it, partly because not only did I want to see the special features and the interviews and that, because the ones on the first season were really good, but they also had some little extras that were actual physical extras, not just on the discs. So I thought I'd do a little video of that because I was wondering for years exactly what was in them and always wanted them. So I thought there must be someone else, and maybe I can make their decision to buy them or not on eBay a little bit easier. So season 1, basically, first thing you notice is they're a nice big solid box with embossing on the front, which looks really nice. And as you can see, it mentions here that you get a replica of Jim Henson's original notepad. So he kind of famously came up with or put the concept together on a plane, and he used a notebook. So we get some information here about the actual production, and each disc, which has its own piece of artwork, which is usually a Fraggle, you get a full description of the episodes and information about the episodes, and each one, as I said, has its own disc art with different Fraggle, which is nice. The Australian one did that at first, but then they eventually, in season 2, 3 and 4, they just had one Fraggle repeated on every disc, a different one for each season, instead of having a different one on each disc, which is really annoying because it's easier to tell the discs apart if there's a different image on each one. And they had 4 different ones. They just had the same one on each disc for each season instead of, I don't know why they did it like that. But and also they just had very simple covers with no special features, and they weren't boxes. They were just, slip cases and sleeves. But so here's the notepad, and now frankly I find it hard to read his handwriting, but it is kind of fascinating to have this just so you can read through all his notes and how he came about creating the original idea for the show. Now, out of the special little extras, it's probably the least interesting. I mean, actually, it's not actually, because it is the most interesting to see how he came up with the ideas, but because of its actual nature of what it is, just notes and ideas, it's not as good as some of the other ones. But so yeah, it's like just page after page of notes that he wrote. And I think it's pretty much all identical. It's just all his own handwriting, just note after page after page, page after page after page after page. Notes, but yeah, it's interesting to actually see how the ideas came about. So I had this, and I always wanted the other ones because, as you'll see in a moment, the other box sets had their own extras. I'm sorry that my hand keeps going in front of it, but I decided to do this with one hand. It's not as easy as I thought. But yeah, it's just cool to have. And like I said, it made me want to have the other special stuff. So that's season 1. In season 2, again, we've got the same embossed cover box, and this one has a replica of Jim Henson's original pitch book with art, as well as the special features, which I meant to mention. Actually, I'm going to go back. Some of the special features in the last disc. There's a Jim Henson documentary, which is, God, what was it called? Not Fraggle Songs. Otherwise, it's a documentary. It's a vintage one, is the point. It's a vintage one which is actually hosted and narrated by Jim Henson. And then they've got about 5 or 6 different interviews with different cast members on each element of, well, different elements of the production. It doesn't cover everything, but it covers like the original designs and all this. So it's actually really good. So back to season 2. Season 2 has a special on Jerry Jewell, who, I'm not sure that's how you say his name, but he was the main writer for the show as well. So it's about half an hour on him, and then another bunch of interviews looking at different elements of the show. And this one, same format basically. It's got information about the pitch book, and each disc again has original artwork, and each disc is different, and they all have descriptions of the episodes, list of the episodes and the descriptions of the episodes. And unfortunately here, actually the disc doesn't match, which is odd. It's yellow instead of green, and they actually don't go into the interviews, which would have been handy if they'd mentioned what the actual interviews were and who they were. But here's the Fraggle Rock pitch book, which I think obviously was bigger, the original one, the real one. It's just a miniature reproduction, but as you can see, they've got artwork, basically just going through the ideas, the characters. It's so freaking hard to do with one hand. I don't know what I was thinking. But it just goes through all the different elements of the show and the design. These are basically created to sell someone, or if you've already sold someone, at least show them what you're actually going to get and where they actually are in the production. So it goes through the doozers and the gorgs. As you can see, they're the original concepts, and they changed a little bit. Travelling mat, which, if you know about the production of TV shows and movies, travelling mat is actually an effects element, which I always wondered. I thought that's what it sounds like. I didn't realise they'd actually named him after a travelling mat. I love matte paintings. They're basically art on screen. And of course, little conclusion. So that's the original little pitch book. So I really wanted that. So I saw on the back, when you see, because this is often what annoys me with eBay, you'll get a description which will give you just a little bit of information about something, and that's it. So, and sometimes you get a picture of the back, and I could see on the back that you got the Jim Henson's original pitch book, but all you saw was a tiny image of the cover. And I always wanted to know what was in it. I always wanted to see it. I always wanted it because I liked the pad. So I had to get that as well. Now the third one, same thing, embossed. This one has Michael Frith's original sketches. So he did a bunch of sketches, mostly at a meeting at a hotel, and they were sort of the initial sort of designs. And again, we've got information on that. And again, each disc has its own information, its own image, and episode descriptions. It's done the bonus disc colour matches. And this one they did differently. I think they must have got a complaint, because this one lists every element of the special features, including the times and everything. And this one's a bit cuter. The sketches, not the pitch, but the sketches. Comes in a little folio, and it's literally a whole pile of artwork. And also in there is my tags for my Fraggles, which are pretty much all the same. And the doozers. I have 3 of them. Okay, so you got the origin. And it was all from the Hyde Park Hotel. He stole a bunch of their stationery and did his sketches. So I'm just going to look through these quickly. And much like the book, they go through just all the different groups and characters and elements, and it's fascinating to see how some of them started. The Doozers originally had bottoms, and they turned them into little termite bottoms. And there's some semi-finished artwork, but most of it's sketches, although it's odd how some images like that get a whole page, but yet finished work like that, they cram 2 images onto one. And yep, the Gorgs, because obviously they changed a little bit, so it's interesting to see how some of them start and then how they finish compared to what we used to, what we finally saw. Trash Heap was originally designed for Sesame Street, but they didn't like it, so they ended up going with her for Fraggle Rock. And there was a lot more confidence in Jim Henson at that point, so they didn't really question what he wanted to do. He pretty much had a free rein. They did whatever they wanted, which is the reason why the show turned out so good, I think. Doesn't happen very often in Hollywood. It happened with Next Gen as well, Star Trek Next Generation. So not very often does a show get free rein, and sometimes what happens when creators get free rein, you get absolute brilliance instead of mediocrity and scripts by just groups of people. So there's no real voice or vision, it's just a mess. So yeah, I really wanted these just because I really wanted to see the sketches. As far as I know, there's no Fraggle Rock book that has the sketches or the art. If there is, I haven't found it yet. I think there's a Jim Henson one that might cover Fraggle Rock as part of it. But I mean, I just wanted to see all this. So I finally eventually ordered it and I got them, and then I was thinking the other day as I was looking through them and enjoying them and glad I finally got them, I'm like, why don't I do a little video, now I have a YouTube channel, and show someone else what's in these so they don't have to wonder for years and wonder, is it worth ordering them or not? Now you can see it and you can know if it's worth doing. And the last one, unfortunately, final season, because the final season they did season 4. I don't know, I think they filmed a whole season, then they split it into 2 and it was screened as 2 seasons with some episodes from season 3 put in there as well to bulk it up a bit. But there was just one last season, and this one, it's just a slipcover, and underneath is exactly the same. So it's much like the later seasons I got in Australia. So there's nothing to look at there, and no extra stuff, just the special features themselves, of course, which is a whole lot of interviews, which are really great. They cover all the elements, and you can see just how great all the people are and how why the show turned out as good as it was. And I still love it. I think part of the reason why I love it is because I know my mum enjoyed it, and she used to watch it with me, and I don't think there were many shows that I liked that she liked, and she felt it really was good for kids. So she enjoyed it. So I think I kind of remember some of that when I'm watching it as well, so it also gives me some more, I don't know, happy feelings. But I'm going to go back to Fraggle Rock. I'd rather be in 1985 or 86 or 87 or whatever than 2020. And yeah, I hope someone got something out of this. Thanks. Bye.